We are here on the second Brew. We've had a bit of a nightmare connecting this morning, haven't we, Kate? But,
just a tad.
First time we didn't get any picture. Second time I started recording this and the picture went off. And finally we've got it.
It's fine.
It's just gone 8 o'clock in the morning. Maybe that's just what it
is. Yeah, there's enough coffee to get us through. We'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll be sound. We'll be sound. So yeah, this is the second Brew with a Blue. Les Roberts. If you didn't watch yesterday's one, it was me and Les Roberts having a chat. Effectively, just going to be myself and having a chat with a few of our lovely guests here on the Blue Room. Kate kindly agreed to do the second one. She's very happy about it, as you can always see.
Why I agreed to do it at 8 o'clock in the morning, I've got no idea. I genuinely did think I'd be well up with the kids by now, but they're all snoozing and I've just put so much dry shampoo through my hair. Disgusting. Here we are.
Yeah, I've just got out of the shower and just give it a rub with a towel as usual. So nothing differs on that side. Yours looked absolutely fine. It was absolutely fine. Just first of all, how are you doing, Kate? Obviously, people have seen you on Kickabout and all sorts recently. You've obviously at home with the kids and that. You coping okay?
Yeah. I think if anything, I never thought I'd say the words. I think the Blue Room's actually keeping me sane, believe it or not. Being able to just have a catch up with the lads, and like you've just said there, it's not as if we're just talking about the footy news. It's just checking in and seeing how everyone's getting on. The kids are great, draining the electricity like you wouldn't believe. So now that the weather's gone cold, it's obviously more difficult to get them outside. But I think I hate the word quarantine. It's like lockdown, isn't it? Social distancing has taught me so many things, and I've built bunk beds. I built a goal when I did a bit of a footy school in the back garden for the kids, and I was proper made up with myself. So I'm going to attempt to build some swings today. And if one of them doesn't end up over the garden wall because the swings come off, it'll be a miracle. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's keeping me busy.
What's your goal made out of?
It's just the metal tubing, but the thing that I don't consider myself to be the most intelligent person in the world, but the thing that got me was threading the actual goal itself through the pole. I just can't get my head around one in, one out. It just doesn't look right. I don't understand.
Oh, no. So they're going to ruin the back garden, basically, with the grass and all that.
Oh, yeah. Goosed. So, yeah, I just thought, but I think that's the one thing that I've learned, really, because this is our 15th day of social distancing, just because my daughter's got a little bit of a respiratory weakness, is that if we didn't have a garden, it would be so much more difficult. So with the kids, I feel for anybody, if you've got a bit of a yard or whatever it is, that outside space is just paramount when you've got kids.
Yeah, absolutely. You touched on the garden before all this isolation kicked in and the quarantine kicked in a little bit. We were down at Chelsea's mum and dad's for the weekend, and they got the swing ball out in the back garden, which they've not played since she was a little tiny girl. And by the end of it, with everyone being ultra competitive, obviously the grass was just kicked up. There was mud everywhere. My shoulder was killing for days afterwards. Everyone was taking it so seriously. So I think it could be a good time to dig out those childhood games again.
Yeah, definitely. I actually bought the kid. Do you know the way everybody's got one of those board games that they never got when they were a kid? It's usually Mr. Frosty. Not many kids got Mr. Frosty. You were spoiled. Right, if you got one of those. I bought the kids Operation off eBay, right? Thinking, this is going to be amazing. And we're you've got to be dead careful. We literally nailed it in about 3 minutes. All that, including me 5-year-old, who was just there's your spleen, there's your whatever. And I was just I've just spent a tenner on that, and it literally lasted 3 minutes. It was completely pointless.
Are you going to get the Mr. Frosty as well, or?
I don't know, it's a bit messy. Now I'm a parent, I understand why my mum and dad never bought it for me.
That was the one that I always wanted, and my mum and dad always dug their heels and said, nah, you're not having that. I think it's really bad for you as well, isn't it? Just loads of sugar and stuff, so...
I mean, that's right up my street, isn't it? How I don't have one now as an adult.
Yeah. I suppose we probably just don't sell them anymore. It feels like one of those things, like turkey Twizzlers. It's probably just been helpful to how bad it is for you.
I think you can get it. You can get a new version of it, but it won't be the same. You know what I mean? It just won't be the same.
Absolutely. Tell us about your kit then. Obviously, you've gone for a bit retro. I've gone for sort of, I don't even know when this one's from. It's... I'll show the viewers. It's been in the wash so many times, and now the Changs coming up. It's one of my gym ones, but obviously you can't do that, so I thought I'll dig it out. But you've gone for a retro one today for more successful days for the team.
Exactly, taking it back to the 80s. This is my my birth year shirt. So 82,
okay.
I am that old. And I think, I don't know, it was kind of like the start of like the glory days, really, wasn't it? I'd like to think this was the prototype. You know, for the winning shirt of those days when we look back and we see the likes of like Andy Gray, whatever, with the trophy and, you know, in 85 and, you know, and I'd like to think that this is when it all started. 82 was a good year. That's what I'm getting at, Matt. And I've only just worked out, I think I knew this anyway, but I must have forgotten. So within a couple of days of when I was born, we beat Arsenal away. I think it was 3-0. Hang on. I did actually write it down. And West Ham away. 2-0, I think. It was a good week as well, not even just a year. It was a good week. And I think it's when you look back a little bit glassy-eyed when you see like some of the players, and I think it was another kind of period in time where the players were so invested in the club, you know what I mean, and that whole kind of people's club mentality. I mean, Howard Kendall at the helm anyway, but like, you know, big Nev, and Sheedy and Peter Reid and Sharpie, and like my love of Everton really kind of came about when I got married when I was 21, and my other half was the biggest Graeme Sharp fan in the world. So like he was his favourite player ever, to the point where I'm pretty sure we invited him to our wedding actually. I mean, he didn't come, but it would have been that I would have won the ultimate wedding gift where he's like, I'm literally not bothered you're here anymore because Sharpie's just turned up for the free bar. That would have been amazing. So, and I mean, I've interviewed Sharpie many times. My love of Everton lasted longer than the marriage, coincidentally, and it was actually thanks to Paul that it was my first time. We were saying yesterday we'd done a Twitter thing about, you know, four that meant the most to you, talking about players. So I threw an international in there. I always loved watching Edgar Davids play, mainly because he reminded me of Predator with the dreads and the glasses and stuff. Yeah. Just thought he was a great player. But away from that, like more kind of Everton based. Like the first time I ever saw like a goal at the Gladys Street end was Nicholas Alexanderson. That was my first kind of like home game that I was just like, oh my god, this is amazing. You know, and that's kind of where it started. So yeah, I think for the people in the 80s, like, you know, who were just like, oh my god, this is our team, this is amazing. You know, from 82 when that started to kind of build and how the squad built a bit and the confidence came together, you know, for kind of like 84, 85, this is it. This is what it was about.
That's the shirt. On that one as well, I love that badge, the old school badge.
Yeah, I do as well, yeah. Just a little bit of yellow. I thought when we were talking about this yesterday about like, I can't wait to see what shirts the lads have got on like as the week goes on. We've had some absolute screamers, like, and it like the Changs that were in the yellow, was that the third kit or the away kit?
Yeah.
Oh god, that was horrible. And the other thing I've worked out as well is that other than, I think there was one NEC shirt that had a blue collar, and I think I don't want to say Kanchelskis. There was like a picture of a certain player anyway that had like a lighter blue collar or even with a blue line through it. Other than that, I've not liked any Everton shirt that's had a collar. I think they look weird.
Yeah.
It looks more like a rugby jersey.
Was that one in 2005-06, I think, which had like the little tiny collar on it? I don't even remember that one.
Yeah.
I quite like that.
Yeah.
Apart from that. This one's got a collar on it. You can't see it.
But in darker colours, it looks all right. I just think in the white and blue, I preferred this.
Yeah, it's smart. Yeah, I like that one. Have you watched any of those videos the club have put out with the old 80s games on?
Like some of them, and I think I remember them. I feel like I remember them, even though I wasn't there. You know, because they're iconic for us as Blues. You know, and that like, oh, if you need a little bit of a boost, that's all you got to go back and watch. But I don't know. I just think there's something about. Imagine how amazing it must have been to have been a fan there. You know, when we say that there's like almost a generation of us who are all just waiting for something. We'll take anything at this stage. I just think, obviously, you know, like the world was a very different place, bloody hell, 2 weeks ago, never mind than what it was like, you know, nearly, oh my God, nearly 40 years ago, I'm about to say. But I just think how, you know, like how important football was. It really put things into perspective as to where we are now. And like, but I had a conversation with somebody who remembers going to Goodison, so it must have been, probably will have been around this time, if not a little bit earlier, when there were like no gates. You could walk into Goodison Park, you know, and it's like, well, you know, you're at the game, and that was the done thing. Whereas like now we look at stadiums now as like these massive big fortresses, you know, and it takes hundreds of people to put games on and facilitate it. You know, and it made me wonder that despite all the changes in all of this time, I think walking up Priory Road or up the Goodison Road will have felt exactly the same as what it does now. We were just maybe a little bit more optimistic then.
I was just going to say, yeah, probably watching a bit of a better team, yeah.
Yeah.
What good stuff. Just there, you know, just carrying on there. I wanted to have a chat with you about women on the ball. Obviously, anybody who's star our YouTube channel would have seen this. So we had quite a few new subscribers come through recently as well. Effectively, Kate sits down with some of the Everton women's team. Lucy Graham and Simone McGill have been on both of them so far. And we had Kika Van Ness on the last one, didn't we?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
International. And Maeva Klarman from the French. She's French international.
Yeah, she's French. Yeah,
she was on the first couple, and you just have a big chat with them effectively. Just you know, we've done. I think we've done 4 of them so far, haven't we? Obviously, it's frustrating that we've not been able to do a few more, but I think it's been a really interesting look at their career paths, what it's like to be a footballer. And I think it's what I've loved most about it, and probably this is testament to, you know, your ability as a journalist, as an interviewer, but they seem to be really enjoying it.
Yeah, I think I don't think you can put 4 women in a room and tell them to have a gab and not end up laughing their heads off. I mean, the girls will probably agree as well. That's got to be down to Simone as well, who has clearly identified herself as the joker, if you like, the comedian of the group. Always have a good laugh. We've done is that 4 that we've done in the studio now, or 3? Well, studio that we've done it up at Finch Farm in the family lounge there, where we always get a warm welcome, which is lovely. The girls have usually come straight out of training. You know, so there's something about the women's team, and this is obviously a different dynamic, you know, to the men's and how the way that the men's game is treated, and that they give more. And you know, they're happy to tell you about the fact that they're spending Christmas with their families or where they're travelling to, and do you know what I mean? It's a little bit more open. We were really lucky. We were invited up to Goodison as well for the Everton in the Community sleep out. I'm just trying to think how long ago that was now. About a month or so ago, something like that. Beginning of March.
It feels ages ago, doesn't it?
It does. It feels like it was weeks and weeks. The women's team had actually come out to support the event as well. Loads of people there. A good few people have done it year after year as well, which is lovely. And we sat down as well with keeper Kirsty Lavelle, who's Wirral born and bred, so it was lovely to speak to a local girl as well, which I gave a stick for. You know, she was saying about you know, what it's like to come from the area, not necessarily Liverpool if you like, but from Merseyside, you know, and play you know, at Walton Hall Park, which is where the women's team has now moved to, like, for their home. And at the time, it seems like all we've been talking about is this women's Merseyside derby for weeks. It's never going to happen. It's just never going to happen. So this is twice now that it's you know, it's had to be postponed, and I think, you know, maybe realistically it's probably it for the season. Which is a shame, because, you know, it's kind of everybody's dream. If you're into footy, whether you're male or female, it doesn't really matter, you know, to play for your home team, you know, at your stadium is the one, isn't it, you know? So it was really interesting chatting to Kirsty. It mixed things up a little bit as well, because we were literally sat in the park end. It was freezing, and she was facing the prospect of sleeping out with her mates. They had an absolute shed ton of sugar to get them through. But again, it was just a really nice it didn't feel like an interview. It sat down, I was having a chat with somebody who had literally just met, you know, as opposed to it being too structured. So I'm looking forward to getting back in with the girls. I guess we'll see, you know, as and when things come back together. But if you've not checked it out already, we end up absolutely buzzing laughing about a milkman in Northern Ireland with Simone. Lucy's telling us all about, and so does Kika actually. About having to play footy with lads when they were girls at school, and how things have changed, because whilst we're able to fill in these, you know, these Twitter things going around at the minute about 4 players that meant the most to us watching footy, that in another generation, in my kids' age, my girls will be able to pick out 4 female footballers there, you know, because there'll be such a raft of talent that's coming through to choose from. So things are constantly changing, and it's been amazing to be able to launch women on the ball at this stage, to be able to talk to the girls, you know, whilst it's very much in its infancy. But I've definitely made a pledge now that the girls have moved, as I say, from Southport down to Walton Hall Park now, which is not a million miles away, to get out there and properly support them. I wrote a short piece for Turn there as well, just saying about, a derby win's a derby win, bragging rights, isn't it? So whether it's the lads or the girls, I don't care.
Yeah.
So that'll be us for the new season, yeah.
I think what I've really enjoyed about it is that I think professional footballers now, and you can even see this with the girls to a degree, I'm sure they won't mind me saying, they are so media trained, aren't they?
Yes.
It's difficult to get anything. Yeah. When you speak to anyone who's involved in the game or has clearly gone through that media training, it's difficult to get a full sense of probably their personality as one thing. And I think it's difficult to get an insight and a true insight into what it's like to be a professional footballer, which obviously these guys are as well, the likes of Simone and Lucy. And I think what's good about that series and how they conduct themselves and how the women's team is that they're probably, like you said, a little bit more open with that sort of stuff. They were telling us about, who has the sweets table on the coach and that sort of thing. I think we sort of look at it, and even as journalists, we sort of look at it, and still, when you get that little bit of information, you get that little bit of insight of behind the curtain, you like it, don't you? And you laugh about it and you cling on to it. And I think that's where you speak to some of those players, and maybe compared to some of the men's players, and it's more interesting and more engaging, and you're getting more of an insight into what their life is like for these footballers.
Yeah, 100%, and because so much of it is it's not really being like shrouded in mystery in the same way that the men's game is, and that it's protected. It just hasn't been explored really. And to be able to sit down with three international players as well. That was Maeva, like you say, for France, Lucy for Scotland, and Simone for Northern Ireland, and talking to them about why people in France don't have Christmas jammies. I mean, that's the kind of content I live for. But I mean, that was talking to the girls over Christmas and like what it's like when they close down over the Christmas period, and how they get back into the swing of things, and you know what I mean. And it's. I always think when it comes to media training with footballers in particular, it always makes me think of the evolution of Rooney, right? We first get him sat down as a schoolboy, like next to David Moyes, and it's just no, and then they move on to the stage. Everyone just says Stephen Gerrard's horrendous for it, and it starts every sentence with it.
I say
you don't realise you're doing it.
I'm not giving him any stick, so. It's fine.
There's certain phrases, it's like no, and then to be fair or to be honest, there are these things that come out with the girls. They are literally just laughing their heads off, and we'll give it you straight. And I think there's something that's really important about integrity there, and that we know that if we bowl in with a question that's maybe a little bit too probing, or something's happened in the news, that we have a relationship with media teams, and that we go through certain channels. But if we're talking about these girls' stories, how they got started. It's important that people know, what that route was like and how that is changing, and that's down to various, like national governing bodies and that type of thing, to make sure that everybody has got the opportunity to play footy, not just lads or girls. It's making these things accessible, and these girls talking about that, is really important. I mean, Kika, like coming from Holland, talking about the fact that she not only had to play with lads, she had to cut her hair really short, and she changed her name at one point so that she was actually a lad. Do you know what I mean? So it's important, and I think that the fact that they are so given with that information is great. It makes for a good watch and a good listen.
Wonderful stuff. Yeah, if you haven't checked them out yet, they are all here on the YouTube channel, so go back and watch a few of them. They are still topical even at this point. The very first one was right after they beat Liverpool at Anfield, so
it was
perfect time to get started. So go back and listen. Kate, any grand plans today while you're in self-isolation?
Like I said, I'm going to have a crack at building these swings. I'm going to go and take my shirt off, which, for the record, means so much to me, right? I actually, oh God, I can't find it now. I actually haven't even taken the tag off it because I'm just too scared to wear it. Because it's like, I'm hoping I'll get Sharpie to sign it one day, and we'll have it signed and up on the wall somewhere. I'm going to go and build some swings. I'm probably going to have to do some boring ass school work with the kids, which I don't want to do, but hey ho, it's routine. And I'm probably going to bake because there's nothing else to do, just to eat, mate. That's it.
What are you going to bake?
I've got bananas that have died of death about 2 days ago, so banana bread's going in today.
Yeah, wonderful stuff. Enjoy all that anyway. Thanks for taking 20 minutes out your morning to have a chat. That's been Brew. I'm going to be able to say this by the end of this. Brew with a blue.
Brew with a blue.
It's a bit of a tongue twister, but we'll get there. That's been the second one. Just quickly, a note to anyone who's not checked out our stuff on Blue Room Extra. We had Subscribers Weekly out yesterday with myself, Dave, Mike, and Mark Mosey. We had a big chat about Romelu Lukaku. It was, why not? Why not at this point? Weekly's out today. We've got Stats Pack and Match Eating coming up. Kickaballs. Are you on that again this week, Kate?
Do you know what? I might just show up. Who knows? It's keeping me sane.
Great. The one with you, Les and Rob, was great last week. I really enjoyed listening to it about how Les's children are going to be so cynical about everything growing up.
So funny.
We've got mailbag, all usual stuff. Tomorrow, Mike the Ashes coming on this, so it should be interesting as well.
Amazing.
Thanks again, Kate.
Cheers,
I'll see you again soon.
See you later.